Is Warcraft 3 Reforged fixed? Is Warcraft 3 Reforged worth buying? Is it worth refunding? Is Blizzard still working on Reforged? Is Warcraft 3 worth playing? And did they fix the bugs? Hello everyone and welcome to the Warcraft Reforged anniversary stream. It's been 1 year since Warcraft Reforged released. And I want to go through everything with you that has been changed for the better, for the worse, things that are still to come, allegedly, and things that may not come. We're going to talk about recent developments in Blizzard Activision. We're going to talk a lot about Warcraft Reforged. We might even play a few games in Classic and in Reforged graphics. And we're going to compare everything. Also make sure to have your... Oh my god. Thanks very much. Holy effing I don't know what that stands for. Thanks very much, kleine schildpad. We will discuss all those things. We'll go through it. I've got a whole document of notes that I've been taking throughout the year as well as the last few days. Basically, we're going to answer the following 5 questions in this live stream and in this video. Is Warcraft 3 Reforged fixed? Is Warcraft 3 Reforged worth buying? Is it worth refunding? Is Blizzard still working on Reforged? Is Warcraft 3 worth playing? And did they fix the bugs? These are some of the most commonly asked questions when Warcraft has been in the news recently. Of course, Warcraft 3 is a game from 2002, and it has stood the test of time in the last, what are we now, 18 years? The reason that there's still such a large player and fan base around the world interested in Warcraft 3 is because the base game was not just that good, but the expansion, the Frozen Throne, which expanded upon Reign of Chaos, changed the game in a really good way. There were a lot of tournaments in it when esports was grassroots and was done 100% for the passion and just a little bit for the career option. Very different from now in the sense that now when you embark on an esports career and you know you're really good at one of the top games with the most prize monies, you can kind of imagine that you might find a career, but back then it was all unsure. So it has stood the test of time. Make sure to get your bingo ready. The bingo card is in the chat. You can either download it and edit it with Paint, or you can print it and scratch it off with a pencil. We've got 9 options in our bingo, namely, if I reference a bug, referencing the low review score on Metacritic, complaining about the new graphics, when are ladder and profiles going, broken promises. This doesn't count for the bingo yet, by the way. Blizzard Activision having changed. A viewer comes in and doesn't know that Warcraft Classic graphics toggle actually existed and that the game is now one client. Blizzard Classic games team size, and reassuring everyone that Warcraft 3 is still a great game. More about that later. I already checked off half. 1. No, those don't count. Those don't count. To begin with, let's watch when our hopes were thoroughly undashed. Blizzcon 2018, the cinematic trailer of Warcraft Reforged.
Greetings, friend.
We never paid any heed to the ancient prophecies. Like fools, we clung to the old hatreds. And fought as we had for generations.
Greetings, friend.
Thanks, Brickball.
Until the day the sky rained fire, and a new enemy came among us. We stand now upon the brink of destruction, for the reign of chaos has come at last.
Yo, this game looks dope. What is it? When is this game coming? It's a good cinematic.
Greetings, friend.
Coming 2019. Okay. There's a broken promise. Of course, it came out January 28th, 2020.
Greetings, friend.
Job interviews got moved from today to tomorrow. Now I have to prioritize between this and those interviews. I played some Reforged at Blizzcon 2018 as well. We edited into a YouTube video, which is actually the most watched YouTube video on my channel of all time. Thank you very much, Snagari, for the 10 gift subs. This is the most watched video of all time on my channel. We just went over 1 million views.
At follow Grubby, you looked so entertained there. Loving it, man. Smile. Happy anniversary, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Rub clap.
Happy anniversary. I mean, we were all hyped, right? And many good things and many bad things came out of it. Overall, the community ended up saving Warcraft 3 as we have it now, but more about that later. Let's check out this parts of this video.
A few years ago, Blizzard started classic games around a simple idea. The world should always be able to play the games that helped lay our foundation. Luckily for us, sometimes that means we get to remaster one. Yeah. So, on behalf of your dedicated men and women of Classic, I am honored to present the return of another Titan.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? What do you mean I knew? What? You knew! You knew! What do you mean ultimate debated? So when I came to Blizzcon 2018, I told all you guys that I'm going to Blizzcon to just visit as a tourist. But actually, Blizzard had confided in me that Reforged was coming, and they asked me to co-announce it. Of course, I couldn't be more hyped. So I went to BlizzCon, I got to see Reforged behind the scenes. I got to see that it was not ready yet. I mean, I got to play it in the office a little bit. Then basically co-announced it. They mentioned me actually in the announcement and in the key address that they always do for BlizzCon, which was pretty special because usually they don't mention players or creators. We don't actually get this option like this. So what you want to know about the build that they had ready at BlizzCon 2018 is we only got to play one map. So what it basically comes down to, it's like a proof of concept, basically. A company like Blizzard Activision is made up of many different elements. There's the developers, there's the quality assurance, there's the PR, there's the upper brass, the corporate individuals, if you will, marketing. And in a big company like that, there's going to be people that only care about money and about monetizing the fan base around Warcraft, releasing Reforged, charging $30, and then if it is a profit, if it is a financial success, that's all that matters. Whereas there's going to also be passionate developers that do want to make the best and most complete remaster possible, but that may or may not have been able to. They may have made mistakes, personally, like with the scope, with the ambition, with the direction, changing vision or whatever. There may have also been change of leadership. I doubt we'll ever totally, fully know all the exact details and reasons why Reforged released the way it did. Bugged, incomplete, with graphics that are not a cohesive whole. We probably won't ever know the full details, but I think many educated guesses, as well as some of the leaks, may come close to the truth. What we know from this trailer is the following. When trailers like this get made, with the promise of pre-orders being possible, with the early sale of pre-orders, in the gaming industry, it is common to create this video, this trailer, that is not actually an extract from the game. They do early development in many different aspects, like in-game rendering, cinematics, that doesn't actually represent what the game is going to be per se. They may make it similar looking to it, or they may make any kind of changes, or not deliver. They may make it look different. When you look at the campaign in-game campaign cutscenes, the way that it works is the map editor for Warcraft 3 has triggers where there's a command that says, now make Uther walk here, now make Arthas walk here, now play this text line. And that's why a lot of the original cinematics end up sometimes feeling a little jilted, a little stunted, with unnaturally long delays from one voice line to the next. Yet, many people still love the campaign for all its jiltedness, its sometimes artificial or, not the right timing feeling. This video was actually more seamless in the conversation. They also have new zoom-in angles, new graphics, obviously, and it is higher fidelity, it is higher graphics. But it is not built inside the map editor of Warcraft 3. It is like one long trigger, not comprised of many small triggers. So they cannot make this in the Warcraft engine without making major changes. Going back to... Yeah, for sure, Tharta. Going back to the reason why game developers can get away with this is thanks to pre-order culture. People bought the product, they don't need to finish it. Yeah, and that's a very bad... that's very bad that that's possible. They actually started a fully free refund policy, but you imagine probably not everyone that bought it, or even close to the majority, would refund when it is bugged. A lot of people just buy games, put it on their shelf. And that's why people can sometimes get away with that, yeah. So here we got our early hands on the game. And if you look at the graphics here, this is not how the game actually ended up looking. I am playing a build of Warcraft that is already a few steps on the way of
FPS hexadecimals and, you know...
This is already a few steps of the way of taking the original game that came out in 2002 and transforming it with new graphics to look differently. And we see a level of detail here on Knights and Footmen and the Paladin, and we see a level of clarity that's actually really good. If you look here, how do you judge the visibility here? You see the sleep animation on the Footman, now you see the sleep animation on the Rifleman. It is clear, it is clean, shadows are clean, terrain looks natural. The item chests look very similar to the original. The hero glow is good. The Knights and the Footman, there's a level of clarity. This looks gorgeous, like this looks way better than the Rifleman that we had in Classic.
Friend.
The Footman looks gorgeous as well, the shield, this is good, but somewhere along the way, between 2008 BlizzCon, which is in October, November, and when it released, which is a year later, which even then at the time, I felt like it's not going to be enough time. Maybe if they had a team of like 100 people or 200 people. But I felt like it wasn't going to be enough time. But who am I to judge? I'm just one semi-informed person. Somewhere in between then, they tried to recreate this to be applied to be able to be applied on a massive scale, and they didn't make it. Now, from what I understand, the developers are not happy with these forced deadlines that actually they don't get a say in when those are. Many of the devs allegedly were surprised by the pre-order being announced in 2018, and for the date of release to be 1 year later on 2019. And then the devs just had to go and do it. But the scope of the project was fairly large. It's easy to see how a layman may think that an existing game, just new graphics and a few other things, may not take that long. But if you're actually into the game and you realize the scope, it's fairly large. Now, there's a few articles out there. The gameplay here looked pretty good. I want to show you guys a few of the media around Reforged recently and the news recently. But first, let me show you how Reforged actually looked like when it released, which ended up being January 28th, 2020, which is about 13 months after the demo that you just watched. Here's Reforged Volcano. Thank you, Mina, for the clip.
Blood lasted. It's ridiculous.
Another round?
Greetings, friend.
I have volcano.
You seem a little parched.
It shall be.
Is trouble?
Volcano spawns on other volcanoes. Too much volcano.
How can we release the game? We don't have meteor animations yet for Reforged. Just make it spawn, just duplicate the volcano animation and make it spawn new volcanoes. Wouldn't that look weird? Nah.
But they don't get blood lasted. Way. Well, it's better that way.
It's better that way.
Years on the prowl.
Better.
Here's a tornado. From Force and Stream. Not sure if I can actually play that music. This is the original. What I like about the original Tornado actually is, first of all, the unit is actually spinning, unlike not spinning, like the Grunt. I mean, he's spinning, but he's not really swirling. When you look at the original, the classic Tornado, look how thick and white that is, like how opaque that tornado is. You can't see anything behind it. Made by someone, or green-lighted by someone, I almost said gaslighted, green-lighted by someone that doesn't worry about the visibility of what's beneath the tornado or what's behind the tornado. You look at the classic Tornado, for all intents and purposes, not a beautiful animation, but at least you can see what's behind it. You can see the Talon behind it, the Druid of the Talon. This is from Witty Warcraft's stream and YouTube. He actually plays a lot of custom games, tower defense and stuff. You can check him out. Here is another Cyclone.
Greetings, friend.
Oh, that banish ran out just as I did that. All right, it's time to face the militia. He checked his watch. If he had one, he was just like, "How long am I gonna be up here?" And there's your answer.
There's your. But he's checking
Right,
his watch.
time to-
Do they even have watch in medieval times? He did this. Look.
He checked his watch. If he had one? He was just like, how long am I going to be up here? And there's your answer.
Maybe he was wearing a sundial? Yeah, possible. And of course, we couldn't escape, like us diehard Warcraft 3 fans, we couldn't escape the review bombing that went on, understandably. As the community wanted to show their distaste of an incomplete release, pre-order culture, sell and forget culture, and a lot of hatred was sent towards Blizzard Activision as an entity, their developers, who may or may not be solely, partially, or even responsible for that, and the creators as well, people like me. When, of course, I kind of get it. I co-announced, kind of, Reforged at 2018. I did the stream. I came back in 2019 with a little bit less hope in 2019, but still hope, because by 2019 I hadn't heard from Blizzard dev team for a while already, so I didn't know how much progress they booked. It was at Blizzcon 2019 when I saw the state of the game that I realized they are releasing within the month. There's no way they're going to be ready. And there was some talk of potentially a delay going to be coming out, but that delay, I didn't actually know how long they were going to be delaying it. And when they announced that it was like 1 month, they are planning to release on January 28th, I was like, 1 month? They needed a year. And of course they were really like closed doors about the information flow and everything. The old graphics were okay, the gameplay only had to be fixed. See, I've given a lot of feedback to Blizzard about Warcraft Reforged balance, Warcraft 3 balance, obviously, same thing, about graphics, about visibility, gameplay. There were many questions about Reforged. Are the mechanics going to be the same? Body blocking, surrounding, movement, AI, pathing. If they wanted to change pathing as well, that would be a whole different story as well. They could have even imported Warcraft to the StarCraft engine, so that StarCraft 2, Heroes of the Storm, and Warcraft 3 would all be running on the same engine. Then you've automatically unlocked the AI, the pathing that StarCraft 2 has. But it would intrinsically change Warcraft 3 forever. With different unit movement, pathing, and AI. Many casuals might have been pleased, especially custom game players, people that don't hone their craft, they just want to shoot their shit and, watch. But it would have changed the pro scene. It would have been a different game. But that would have been possible if that's the direction they wanted to go for. And maybe they could try to recreate it, but it will never feel the same. Like the muscle memory of the Warcraft 3 pros would be gone. The continuation of tournament play by people like Happy, Moon, Lin, it would have been in jeopardy. And then we might not have had anything left. I think Warcraft 3 might have been dead if that changed. But as it were, I realized they're never going to be able to get it ready in time, in a month. And actually, if you look at my stream, January 2020, I was playing StarCraft 2, I was playing Heroes of the Storm, and this is briefly before release, because I realized, even if I didn't want to say it explicitly, that the release was not going to be a bright day in Warcraft's history, in Warcraft 3's history. And I was considering alternative futures, becoming a gardening streamer, a cooking streamer, a TikTok performer, StarCraft 2 streamer, Heroes streamer again. And I realized I may not have Warcraft 3 anymore. We may not have it anymore. But the release came out. There were many bugs on release day, including the campaign shutting down when you clicked on it. Reforged campaign progress, of course, does not transfer over to your classic graphics campaign progress. They're two different versions. The save files do not transfer. There were many disconnects, of course, game crashes, low FPS. Multiplayer was not really working very well. Pings were through the roof sometimes. There is a big list. Yeah, everyone got screwed over a bit with their expectations. Here's a recent article in the media. 2020's most disappointing games as led by Blizzard Warcraft Reforged. One of the gems of the early 2000s PC real-time strategy era, Warcraft 3, entered 2020 still buoyed by a devoted modding community and ladder battling fanbase. That's me. It wasn't scorching the charge by any stretch, but Warcraft 3 continued to enjoy a hearty online population, largely fueled by a community's goodwill. 3 weeks into 2024, the game handlers at Blizzard burned most of that goodwill to a crisp, then spent the rest of this ridiculous year staring at the wreckage and occasionally poking the ashes with a stick. Warcraft Reforged didn't just launch as a brand new version of the game, it also overrode the game's existing licensed copies and forced all players to download a bloated 26GB version of the game instead of the original tidy 1.3GB package. Once that was installed, players found a ton of the game's original popular content was missing, including ladder-based matchmaking, custom campaigns, and LAN support. The newly remodeled 3D assets proved uneven and underwhelming, and they landed with a thud because they missed the forge for the trees, the combination of characters, the terrain, shadows, and color treatments. As viewed from the God's eye perspective inherent to RTS games, it had just become harder to parse with Blizzard's questionable changes. Fans who didn't pay for the upgrade had to wait for Blizzard to return the original game to a tolerable state, since the 26GB version botched some of the game's original graphics. That's actually a much less talked about, for the general public, much less interesting part, but because the largest common good is done to all the people that have just discovered Reforged in that time. All the people that had just discovered it are looking to play the campaign, 4-on-4, custom games, tower defense, Dota. They wanted to jump in, and I had always tried to convey to Blizzard that the release day is so important because that's our #1 day to advertise to the world that Warcraft 3 is a game worth playing again, even as we had been playing it all this time. That's why I really wanted, more than anything, my goals for this game was visibility, launcher integration, advertisement, new players, therefore better matchmaking. The more players, better matchmaking. And I had planned the year to make so much educational content, to bring people into melee play and to appreciate those parts and to teach them, because there isn't a lot of quality content to be found to learn the game. I had hoped that Blizzard would develop Reforged with an intro setting for new players that would involve creator content, for example my own or someone else's, and integrate it into the launcher, into the client, or if they didn't want to work with creators, make their own. Are you new to the game? Play the campaign is what we usually say. Spend a couple of tens of hours, couple of dozens of hours, play the campaign, then jump into melee, which is completely different, but at least you know the units. And that's like the new player experience for a would-be melee player, a ladder player. I had hoped they would come with a multiplayer tutorial. And maybe it is now up to the community to do that if we are looking to basically intro new players to the game. Maybe W3 Champions and I and others can create a multiplayer experience that tutorials people into the game, and it holds their hand and says, here's how to build order, here's how to play online, and here's how to improve. And for those that enjoy that journey, that would be a great thing to have. But the majority of people won't jump into that per se. And for that, the release day was really important. But yeah, we lost LAN play, we lost single player play, you couldn't be offline. There had become bugs in the classic game. So again, the original client transformed into the Reforged client, and you have the toggle to either play with classic graphics and audio or Reforged graphics and audio. Because Reforged actually brought a slew of new unit voices. some of which were almost NSFW, actually, not safe for work. Like, if I play with that and someone hears archers and huntresses dying, it had, in my opinion, it had developed a sexual sound in how they died. It felt very it felt very low quality, and plus units had gotten 6 to 8 different death sounds instead of 1. So as a player, you hear a certain death sound, you think, I may not have seen it because I'm busy, but I hear that sound, and I think that unit just died. That is good information. I'm now using all my senses to play and understand the game. But what was happening is that you played and you hear 6 different death sounds for the archer, 6 different death sounds for the huntress. And not only that, in the transition from the original Warcraft 3 to Reforged, they had messed some of the sounds up. So you actually had bugs such as a dwarf shouting for Cosmodan. It would be cut off at the start. And instead of for Cosmodan, it would sound or Cosmodan, because the F was gone. And there were sound files that had gotten crossed over by accident. So the Huntress death sound would be on the Dryad, or vice versa. Literally, the original sound was put on the wrong unit. You had units that would die that sounded like a peasant village, like a village boy, little Timmy. He's like a 4-year-old village boy from the campaign. And the way he died was put on the Huntress, his death sound. So I can just imagine, like, someone without heart for the game went through those and found this sound and thought it wasn't being used in multiplayer, so he thought he could reuse it and put it on the Huntress because he had been told by someone that they should have different audio sounds to enrich the audio landscape. And one of the things that happened is you couldn't turn those audio settings off. So I had always been told by Blizzard privately that you're going to have 2 ways to play. Classic graphics with classic audio. If you buy Reforged and toggle into it, you can turn on Reforged graphics independently while keeping classic graphics, while keeping classic audio. So classic audio, Reforged graphics. Or vice versa, classic graphics with Reforged audio, or both Reforged, or both classic. But instead, we were locked into this Reforged audio that just, to be honest, ruined the game for me and took months to fix. And eventually now, just to fast forward to today, January 28th, 2021, it is much better now. At this moment, you can play classic graphics with classic audio with a minimum of newly introduced bugs and also many improvements, which we'll go through the list in a bit. Custom games for the uninitiated are essentially Warcraft's playground for modders to create new RTS game types and rule sets. And this became a particularly ripe factory of fun and experiments thanks to Warcraft 3's mix of standard RTS elements and ultra-powerful hero leaders. This is where the original mega-popular mod, Dota Defense of the Ancients, was born, before evolving into wholly new games like Dota 2 and League of Legends. Blizzard's lawyers thought clamping down on IP a good 17 years after Dota's original launch was a wise call, and that has slammed Warcraft 3 community mod creation to a halt. Well, they said they own all the Warcraft maps. As far as custom campaigns go, these still don't work. Reforged broke those, with no sign of them ever returning, and if you're playing a smaller custom game and you want to pause it for any reason, tough cookies. They mean save it, huh? Warcraft Reforged players still can't save their progress. The job is still not done. Fans have been waiting for any sign that the game may return to the non-Reforged version's levels of features, let alone hoping that the game's graphics might be smoothed out to the level Blizzard promised back in Blizzcon 2018. On the feature front, in July and August, Blizzard described how its team would reinstate ladder-based matchmaking and player profiles, respectively. Neither has come to pass, and in December, Blizzard issued a terribly brief update. We'd like to acknowledge that a new build of the current version of Reforged was just made available. This update addresses a server-side issue and contains no player-facing changes. This Reddit response The Reddit response to this official bulletin, which acknowledged nothing about the team's month-old promises, were less than polite, as you can imagine. Fed up, the Warcraft community built its own system to manage online ladder matchmaking seasons and player profiles within the Reforged client. This requires installing an additional executable and signing up on W3Champions.com. The community seems happy enough with this system, since it lets them return to the game's original rule set and code foundation. Well, it's not doing anything to the code, really. I guess in a sense that we have ladder now. It should be mentioned that the ladder that W3 Champions has made is better than anything Warcraft scene has ever had, including NetEase Battle Platform, including W3 Arena, Garena, Hamachi, Blizzard's original ladder, and all other iterations since, because it ticks all the boxes of good ping management, of quick matchmaking, a good population, a very limited amount of flaming and cheating, maybe none, maybe almost none, and that has all been much worse in the past. And also the best matchmaking system we've ever had, in that you meet people of your own level within 5 to 6 games, instead of within 100 games. In the old Blizzard ladder, when Warcraft 3 was at its peak, you needed to play 15 games before you could meet someone of your level. For me, at least. I had to win 15 games that were like snooze fest on a new account until you got to play people that could beat you. 15 games. In this system, 5 games and I meet the top of the ladder if I win all 5. So the system works better. And it's not because there's more players. It's just the underlying MMR algorithm of the W3 Champions ladder is better. There's no telling if or when Blizzard might break the community's roundabout solution. At this point, Reforged seems to exist solely and entirely due to someone's hubris at Blizzard. AKA, someone thought they could do this, they didn't do it properly, but they believed it. Someone's hubris. The remastered graphics are, at best, tolerable in a pinch, though they're famously disabled on pretty much any Warcraft streamer's Twitch or YouTube feeds. And Blizzard's reasoning for breaking the game's client and rooting out beloved features continues to escape anyone with a vested interest in the game. And why bother? Was it really worth throwing nearly 20 years of fandom into the trash to sell special items and add-ons for other connected Blizzard games? Warcraft's $40 version gave World of Warcraft players a mount and Diablo 3 players a pet, and I'm sure many people bought it only for that. A better company would have cancelled the whole thing and refunded players, or it would have at least left the original functioning client untouched. Blizzard clearly is not that better company anymore in 2021. Bingo. Well, bingo, tick box. Here's what Reforged promised. Warcraft Reforged is a complete reimagining of a real-time strategy classic. Experience the epic origin stories of Warcraft, now more stunning and evocative than ever before. Vivid recreations of every hero, unit, building, and environment. Command Azeroth's greatest heroes and villains over 62 missions that span the continent. Accelerating gameplay. Play 4 diverse races, each with unique strategies, units, abilities, and champions. Heroes! Relive the events of Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos, and the Frozen Throne. Pepe laugh. Yeah, Reign of Chaos rule set is no longer playable, unlike the original version. That's another something we lost. Command mysterious night elves, insidious undead, savage orcs, and noble humans. Very few left of those. Noble humans as alliances shift and cultures clash in ruthless conflict. 62 missions across Kalimdor, Lordaeron, Northrend, and beyond. 40 plus hours of epic gameplay with 4 plus hours of Reforged in-game cutscenes. Technically not wrong. If you render the cutscenes in Reforged graphics, they are technically 4 plus hours of Reforged in-game cutscenes. Though we didn't get what we assumed, new cinematics, or organically good-looking in-game cutscenes. They're slightly different camera angles, yes. Control over 20 legendary heroes and villains from Warcraft lore. Gain experience, level up, master powerful abilities, and enhance nearby units. Rebalanced gameplay. We're making hundreds of balance changes, and this is true. An upgraded experience. Challenge opponents with modern multiplayer matchmaking. Technically, by now also not untrue anymore. We do have matchmaking. It's just not working as well. A few of the issues involve, if I play on the versus of the Warcraft Battle.net, the Warcraft Reforged Battle.net, it takes dozens or hundreds of games for me to meet people of my level, which could be much faster with a better Glyco 2 system. For example, you start at 5,000 MMR right now. You can only see this in-game, not out of the game, by typing !MMR. And after 400 games, my MMR is 7,000. And the max is 10,000. And when I queue up a game on that 7,000, I can either barely find a game, or if I do, it's going to be extremely easy. So it doesn't really work, and it's also not really where the pros are playing, I suppose. Though that doesn't really matter to most people anyway. But if you're generally above average, you start playing, you're going to have dozens of easy games because it's so slow to adapt to your level. And you'll feel like Versus by Battle.net is more fun than what W3 Champions could offer because you're winning all your games. If you're below average, 5 direct straight losses on W3Champions.com would see you to the bottom of the barrel in player level on W3 Champions. And after those 5 losses, you'll start to meet people of your win rate and level. That means you'll go into a 50% win rate system where you win and lose roughly equal, unless you get actually better at the game. And then you'll think that W3 Champions is more fun if you're below average level, because you meet your true level quicker. If you start playing on Battle.net Versus with a below average level, you'll be one of those people that writes a forum post that says, everyone that plays this game has been playing this game nonstop for 18 years. There's no way I can compete with it. I lost all of my games, 3, 7, 12. They're all just too good. But you would eventually meet people that are your level. You just need dozens or hundreds of games. And that's why technically we have multiplayer matchmaking. It's not modern, or if it's modern, it's not good anyway. We do have custom game lobbies. We connect with friends through the Blizzard Battle.net app. True. With updated UI and countless quality of life improvements, but also many steps back, it's never been easier to get into Warcraft 3. That's not entirely true. It was really easy in 2002, 3, and 4 to get into Warcraft. We didn't have a Battle.net launcher, but we didn't have launchers in those days. What do we have now? Steam, GOG Galaxy, Blizzard Activision launcher. There's so many different ways. Epic Game Store to start to get to the point where you launch a game. In the past, you just had a shortcut. You had an icon. It was really easy to start the game. You just double-click the icon, lol. But it's true that in the last decade preceding Warcraft Reforged release, it was difficult to get into Warcraft 3. You know why? There were many things that made it nearly impossible to have a good gameplay experience. No widescreen, high ping, very impossible to play with friends via arranged team 2-on-2 or 4-on-4 matches, or to create custom games for someone unless you went into your router settings and you opened port 6112. You needed to add Windows command lines to your shortcut to take care of your resolution, to remove mouse lag. If you wanted to play Dota, you needed to sign up on third-party websites, to join communities that auto-banned anyone else from joining and that had their own rankings. There were a lot of issues getting into Reforged, and that was one of my greatest dreams for Reforged, is to easily get into Reforged. And it is easier now. You start the launcher, you start the game, and you play without mouse lag, with better ping for the most part, no port forwarding. So there were very important changes that did need to be remastered. To answer the question, should the game have been remastered? Absolutely yes. Did we need new graphics? I spoke to many people that did think we need new graphics. Though I think we could have survived with just as with the same graphics, or do what Command & Conquer did, do what StarCraft 1 Remastered did, just follow the design and make it better looking with more pixels. Just add pixels, lol. And that would have been a better approach. It's what I would have recommended. I said to them, it don't need to be new graphics. It looks great. And they were like, really? It looks great? And I spoke to friends that don't play Warcraft 3 that said it looks dated. And, you know, I've got pink-colored glasses about it, of course. We're going to look at a video of a tournament to show how tournaments look like right now in Reforged graphics. Because there have been many new tournaments recently, thanks to Reforged release.
Greetings, friend.
And some of them forced Reforged graphics to be used for the observer, even if not for the players. Reforged graphics were forced initially on DreamHack tournaments, ESL, WGL, which is Gold League in China, and many others. Of course, everyone prepared for a big Reforged graphic release, for a Reforged release, to capitalize on the renewed attention.
Greetings, friend.
And probably many contracts were signed, budgets were released for prize monies and production cost, assuming that Reforged graphics will be used, either enforced or agreed upon with Blizzard International or Blizzard China, or within the deal that ESL and DreamHack have with Blizzard. Because if you didn't know, ESL and DreamHack are now leading the esports initiative for all the Blizzard classic games, including StarCraft 2, HOTS, Warcraft 3, StarCraft 1. Blizzard doesn't have an esports division anymore that runs tournaments, which they have done for more than 10 years. So it's now ESL and DreamHack. So whatever contract they have in order to take that part over, the esports division, probably stipulated the usage of Reforged graphics. And despite near universal trashing, and it's not universal because there's people that come in and say the graphics that they've seen in Reforged are better than Classic. Mostly those people don't look with the same detail at this. They see a river and they say, that's water. And it looks, you know, it looks cool. I'm looking at the river. They're not the fisherman that has to look through the water to catch the fish. Any player or viewer that has a little bit more distinction in analyzing what's going on, that's looking to improve, that's looking to see the nuances that make and take the game from just a surface level enjoyment to understanding why someone won, why someone lost, they're going to find it more difficult to reach the visibility in the graphics that we see. But I have to respect that there's many people that think that Reforged graphics looked better through all their iterations than classic graphics. Clearly, WGL didn't think so because they used a mod made by a Chinese community developer. It is actually a mod that changes how the graphics look like a little bit. Here is a tournament with that setting. This is on Back to Warcraft YouTube channel.
One heal scroll. He needs it against the MK and the Mortar teams. Breath of Fire was okay, but now he faces all the breakers and his mana is getting burned. Takes out the Mortars now with the end snares, but all the raiders are already hurt and he needs the heal scroll soon. Panda in trouble. Invo potion and heal potion. Nice Breath of Fire to the casters though. TH backed against this Murloc spot here. Kodos are coming in. Will the raiders fall first or can he do tons and tons of damage?
Cloak of Flame, so much damage over time, even if there's no clap available anymore. MK 1 or 2 more kills, he gets the level up. TH still with a massive 76 supply. That's level 5. Farsi in trouble, he's falling in there.
So if we look with a little bit more discussion about what we're seeing and some of the issues with these settings, TH activated a regeneration scroll on all of his units. It offers a small level of regeneration per second so long as your units are not directly attacked. There's a green glow over them that reminds us of the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. This glow is made with in my opinion, a designer went and took the idea of what would regeneration look and feel like in a magical sense. And he added that to the unit. But I don't think that they also wondered, what is it like for a player or an observer to have all their units affected by this animation? And does that influence the visibility of what unit is what unit? For instance, is this a priest or a sorceress? How many priests and sorceresses are in this picture? Okay, priest, breaker, I think. Priest, sorceress. I think I have it right, that this is a breaker because of the serrated shield. But with the thickness of the bars, all the green glow. Yeah. Oh no, this was a breaker as well. Oh, it's 4 breakers actually. Yeah. But there's the green glow everywhere. Then there's the green glow from the Cloak of Flames on the Mountain King. And then if you look at the water has like this double wave on every point. Each one is like a double wave constantly. It looks super unnatural, right? And it just has this washed out look. Mortar teams look like sappers. Yes, that's true. That's true. It's dark. There's a lot of effects, but difficult to see exactly what's happening. Quenching. Now, this was the quenching mod that, of course, you don't have to use. If anyone wants to link a video to a Reforged tournament, I can show that as well. But I want to go through a list of things that actually got better when Reforged released. Because many things did get better. So one of the things is we get cross-regional play. So what we are able to do now, not just on Battle.net, but also on W3 Champions, it's both basically. We're playing globally. Europe versus NA versus Korea versus China versus South America versus Oceania. On Battle.net, the implementation revolves around, I believe, 4 to 5 servers around the world. If I'm not mistaken, 1 in Chicago, 1 in either the Netherlands or Sweden. There's 1 in South Korea, Seoul, I believe. And there might be 1 somewhere else. Maybe it's... Is it 3 servers? Yeah, Chicago, the Netherlands, and South Korea. Maybe there's 3 servers. In TFT, it used to be in Sweden. That's true. So if you are from Chicago and you're playing against someone from Chicago, you're going to have 2 ping. But if you're from South America, you're going to be allocated one of these 3 servers. If you're from Brazil, which is very big on Warcraft 3. If you're from Russia, if you're from Oceania, you're going to play with 200 ping or more. Some people play on 300-400 ping. If I play at night, the matchmaking in Europe is limited. There's not a lot of people playing in Europe when I'm playing at 3-4 a.m. So it is an advantage if I can add the player pool of South Korea to the ladder so that I can more easily find matches also closer to my level at a decent ping. But because there's only a server in the Netherlands and in South Korea, it's going to be on their or my server. So either I will have 18 ping and he will have 450, or I will have 400 and he will have 3. When you play in South Korea, Seoul, you actually have like 0, 1, or 2 ping. It's insane to their own server. So while cross-regional play was implemented, Blizzard didn't ask if that's something we wanted. They just did it, I think, to consolidate the player base and to make sure that there weren't any regions that felt like they can't find any games, which will lead to the death of the multiplayer scene. It was implemented, but lazily and stingily. W3Champions.com, which is very easy to install and use, it's free to use and allows you to play with people that also have that launcher, has fixed many of these issues, but more about that later. But they have spent a few $100s, and it is now sponsored as well by Back to Warcraft. It costs just a few dozen per server or a few hundred per month, something like that, to set up something like 13 different servers in India, in Russia, in Europe, several in NA, several in Asia. And all those together have created a true global landscape of playing with pings that are, for almost no region in the world, above 200 ping to meet their opponent. Sometimes you'll have 70 ping versus 210, which is of course unfair, but South America, Oceania, they've never known better than 200 ping, pretty much. They can sometimes play now on 70 ping or 80. I've had games against people from Chile or Brazil, Peru, where they have like 100 ping and I've got 80, which is just incredible, and it's better than anything we've ever had. We can play NA versus Europe on 100 ping each instead of 20 versus 180. I've played games against South Korea players where they have 110 ping and I have 110 ping, which is just incredible. Again, I'd rather have lower ping, but the opportunity to play against some of these further away players has been amazing. And while Blizzard did bring that in, they implemented it poorly. W3 Champions improved upon it. The second point that Reforged brought that improved the game, the experience, is that you can watch 2 extensions of replays via the client. The original .w3g, which is a replay file that enters commands into the game client and allows you to watch an in-game replay. So it's not a VOD, very small size. Used to be between 20 to 200 kilobytes. Now it's like between 100 to 800, still very, very small. And you can watch those W3G replay files easily by putting it in your Documents, Warcraft 3, and your user account folder under replays. But you can now also watch NWG replay files easily without any adaptations, which used to be necessary in the past to make a conversion. And what are these NWG extensions? They're replays that come from NetEase. NetEase Battle Platform is a third-party tool created by NetEase, who are actually deeply partnered with Blizzard China. They're a really big game publishing company in China, and they've had the Warcraft Battle Platform for a long time now. It's where all the Korean and Chinese players typically play. They have their own third-party ranking, and there were big questions of how their transition to Reforged would go. But I'm not going to talk too much about that. Suffice to say that many players in the Warcraft community want to watch replays that were played on that platform. That is now seamlessly possible. Some of the graphics in Reforged look gorgeous. The Footman, the Knight, the Rifleman, the Grunt, the Firelord arguably looks a lot better. Reforged Night Elf animated buildings. The whole thing together lacks readability, but many things look great. Not the Paladin with the buzz cut though, no. Chimera, yeah. Another cool thing they added is in 1v1 versus games, they planted a Blizzard observer. So what that means is there's the 2 players that play a one-on-one ladder game, not ladder, versus. They play a one-on-one versus game, and there's a third-party hidden Blizzard observer. And what that allows us to do, although it's a bit janky and probably a workaround to a problem that could have been fixed in the code if they had done it, if they had time for it, but what that allows us to do is to watch the replay through the neutral point of view, which reveals both players' vision when you watch a replay without unveiling the fog of war. I'd actually like to show you that now. Without unveiling the fog of war. Before, if you wanted to watch the replay, you had to either watch only player 1 vision, only player 2 vision, or if you want to see both players' vision, you had to reveal the entire map, which doesn't show where areas have been scouted yet. Let me show you. I'm going to switch to the graphics toggle to Reforged, which can be done via the options, and right here, Reforged. So this is how the game looks like now in Reforged in maximum graphics settings.
What do you want?
At first sight, just re-evaluating it, I feel like the peons look decent, though
Ready to work. Something need doing?
I don't think they necessarily look better. Maybe when I zoom in, I see a level of detail on the peons. When they stand still, honestly, it's higher fidelity, it's higher graphics, it's kind of cute, it's kind of a sad peon. There's level of details in their clothing, obviously, in their weaponry. Having it attack trees.
I can do that.
You can see there's different swing animations when he's actually mining from the tree. The logs have the ropes around it. It looks fairly attractive. When you zoom out, you don't see all of the details as much yet.
Friend.
And when you look at the building animation, I still don't think it shows a level of fidelity that is good enough. I still feel like it feels unpolished. There's altogether, in my opinion, too much building dust, let's say. If you look at me building this war mill, there's like a lot of dust and things being thrown around in the building that just looks, yeah, not done, not right.
Ready to work. What do you want?
It's basically a story of how you can reforge some of the graphics assets, make them individually, when zoomed in, look quite good, but altogether not having the level of polish that Blizzard used to inject in their games that they used to release. It just doesn't have the same quality. There's a lot of powder and light around this altar as well. Even though, when you look at it, it's like, wow, that's a pretty cool altar, you know? This is an altar where they pray to the gods. They're going to release this hero. There's 2 wolves, the chains, the lightning effects. There's cool things about this. But when you zoom out, you just see there's a lot of lights.
I am yours.
Show us the main upgrade, chat demands. Yeah. So when the main upgrades, you would imagine that there's a level of scaffolding around the Great Hall that shows that it is going to transition to a stronghold, and then you would imagine that it slowly transforms into a stronghold. You wouldn't expect for the main to instantly be trashed to the ground and to be built up from scratch, since it still functions as a Great Hall while it's upgrading. So the upgrade starts, you see the scaffolding, you see the tower, and you see some dust.
Greetings, friend.
And then suddenly it starts to become ghostly. Disappears a bit, starts to get holes. The top right of the Great Hall is remarkably missing. There was a brief period of it turning ghost-like and ethereal as scaffolding continues, and we don't really see a visual representation of the build-up. I'm not sure why this part is suddenly missing. Now it turns into the Shadow Realm, like it wore the Ring of Power. Okay, now we have the extra add-on. That's probably why there was an invisible part here, because they wanted to make space early on for this. Hey, didn't it used to totally disappear, Chuddy? We're gonna speed this up and you can see very rapid transformation. Honestly, it didn't look too bad as it upgrades. Now let's go to tier 3. It's becoming a ghost. And there you have it. That looked weird. I don't know what this shape is. A Motte and Bailey type of shape.
Greetings, friend.
It's just a lot of like coming up and shade-like and coming up, and maybe that's how orcs are supposed to build. Smash it all and start over. Well, they did say orcs are savage, right?
What? Yeah.
And this is a headhunter, and he looks really thin. He looks like this really thin, tall. Actually, he kind of has my body shape, but then he also has the hunch. Posture check. They made all the ranged attacks have this arc. This arc instead of more directly to the target. I don't know why, but it still feels like the projectile travels too slowly. But I think the main thing that bothers me with the projectile is that there's this cartoony speed line behind it. Like, a car goes somewhere and there's like a puff of cloud. There's the speed lines that are like from the Donald Duck cartoon. And then there's the smoke. And that makes the spear look as as long as half the distance they're throwing the spear. Like if you pause the game at any point mid-animation, it would occupy half the range, the speed line and the spear. And it has this non-specific feel of when it is, like where exactly it is. But some people may like it.
Yes.
Anyway, I wanted to show the vision of that you can have with the Blizzard Observer. These are just my opinions, some of them, right? Look. Oh, there's no Blizzard Observer. Oh, only in versus games. But I can show you the issue. This is my vision, and this is the edge of Fog of War. And this is the computer's vision and the edge of their fog. If I want to reveal both, I have to turn off the Fog of War, which makes it less visible, especially on the minimap, when there is a unit revealing information somewhere. Now I can see, oh, everything is dark. This player has no units anywhere because there's no vision. Like this, it's not as easy to detect a white dot here, a white dot here, a blue dot here to know when there's a unit. So a third-party observer was always helpful because you can see what they see, which is exactly this plus this. So that's an improvement that was brought by Reforged in Versus, which I think W3 Champions could probably do in all of the latter games as well, if we ask them. Being able to watch a replay directly after a game like that, like we just did, is also a perk of Reforged release. Yes, true. Reforged release also offered race-specific MMR. So your rank as an Orc, your MMR as an Orc, is going to be starting at 5,000 MMR. Same for Night Elf. And they don't influence each other. So they recognize that your level with one race might be very different than your level with another race. Original Warcraft was capped at 60 FPS. The new Warcraft is capped at 300 FPS. You can also determine if you want to play sound when it's the focus window or not. There is an option that says reduce mouse lag. That doesn't actually work to reduce mouse lag. So that still exists. Reforged release, of course, allowed many people to rediscover the game, a resurgent player base. Many people have heard only about the existence of Warcraft and Warcraft Reforged, thanks to the release of Reforged. Even if it wasn't the release that all of us wanted or deserved, people rediscovered this game and its streams thanks to it. Even though it was, for the most part, bad PR, it was still PR for the game. And especially temporarily, it showed higher player base numbers and higher viewer numbers, though by now it has returned to its pre-Reforged release numbers. Still, typically people tend to quit over time, so the fact that we have similar numbers also means that there's many new people. Easier games for people. If you press find match, it's gonna be a little easier than before because there's more new players that have come back to the game. I'm actually gonna go play a versus game now, if possible, on the ladder in Reforged graphics as random race. We'll see when we find a game. Meanwhile, we can go on and talk about the things that Reforged also brought. Search times are better. Custom games, UMS section has, for the most part, improved a lot. You can now once again go to the custom game section and play, find games. 4-on-4 and FFA are more alive, either via the Battle.net Versus or via the W3 Champions. These are modes that are more popular among most people that don't consider themselves the one-on-one elite. So the search times are better. We have gotten the Battle.net launcher with Warcraft that still advertises the trailer and certain developer updates that I'd love to go through in a bit. So I think there's good, it's just not complete. Ping updates is something that Reforged brought us. The gradual removal of the inbuilt latency before you couldn't play with anything less than 150 milliseconds, but the running up to Reforged, as well as the eventual development of Reforged, gave us much better ping. Mouse lag is something you needed to disable OpenGL for. You needed to do all kinds of other janky stuff that I actually made a YouTube guide about. That's no longer necessary. Reforged now has that by itself. And oh yeah, we can show the Blizzard camera now. One of the improvements that made replays from the Blizzard ladder easier to watch is a third-party Blizzard observer. Oh yeah, well, vertical sync is still an issue. See, there's a third-party Blizzard observer which combines this view on the minimap with this view on the minimap and gives both. So it seems like a simple thing, and it's probably done in a janky way by adding a third-party observer. It could just be a setting that says view both players' visions. But this is actually really good for your solo replays. And while W3 Champions ladder doesn't have that yet, I think it's something probably that they could add if they feel like it's important enough and they have the time to develop it. So that's pretty cool. They did that. Oh, there is a third-party observer now in on W3C, really? Yeah, as I said, no more issue with ports. If you play AT with friends or custom games for other people, you no longer need to open port 6112 TCP and UDP on your router settings. I think one of the biggest things is tournaments came back into the Warcraft sphere. We've had all kinds of tournaments coming back and holding weeklies or big marquee events. If we go to the Liquipedia page for Warcraft, you can see just what's planned in January. NWC3L, League of Bulgaria, Warcraft 3 Info League, which is a team league, War 3 Lovers Solo League. It's not very lovers if it's solo. ESL Meisterschaft, Pandaria League. And then some of the things that, let's see, happened recently, completed. The Skill Open Cups are a weekly small prize money league. There's the Dust League, which is a team. The ESL Open Cups, the WGL series, and of course, the big tournament coming up, which is DreamHack and ESL Pro Tour, which unfortunately, due to the health situation of the world, will not be a LAN. It's going to happen in March. That's weird. This browser is flickering in and out of existence on my screen. Okay, now it's fine. Yeah, IEM 2021 has unfortunately been split into 3. Instead of one global event played at LAN in Poland's Katowice, it is now not using the new global flow servers of W3C. It's just going to be played on the Batanet servers, aka Chicago, South Korea, and Netherlands. And it's going to be 3 separate events with their separate prize monies. So we won't get to see Happy and Foggy play against Hitman at the ESL Pro Tour, sadly. So you would imagine, okay, it's just a show match for 10K between Hitman and Cruncher. It's going to be a match between these, 5 players? Oh, there's still a last chance qualifier. Okay. And then in Asia, a whole slew of good players. But they won't meet each other, sadly. Still, this tournament wouldn't have happened if Reforged didn't come. And balance changes. What do you guys think about balance? Perfect balance, Kappa. Balance, I'm quite good on 1 foot. I think Mountain Giants are underpowered. Under OP, human too weak. Balance is better and more interesting. Under the broken. Where's the alcohol? Yeah, let's talk about balance. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourself for 2 minutes. Keep silence when he's back. Oh, no bullying. Do you think Warcraft 3 will still have good tournaments and players 10 years from now? Well, I find that very hard to predict, Jon Snow. There's a sort of Damocles hanging over us. If Blizzard shuts down W3 Champions, who knows? We have made something out of it together. But the future remains uncertain. I got an Oettinger Pils. Oettinger has a bad reputation? Really? I tried 10 different beers from a German supermarket. And I like this one the most. So I guess I like cheap, disgusting beer. I'm not familiar with the reputation. That means you're all bandwagoners. Cheers. I think it's good. Drinking Oettinger to Reforged is fitting though. Oh, sorry, I drank before the toast. Blue shocked face. I think Reforged started as an idea probably with Mike Morheim, who's always loved, and of course he's created the original Blizzard. He's co-created, co-founded the original Blizzard, has loved these games. And before they were acquired by and merged with Activision, he and his fellow co-founders and so on and the board were in charge of everything. Eventually, things changed. Very early on, before they even made World of Warcraft, Blizzard accepted a funds raising and a acquisition with companies that most people don't even remember now. Those eventually were sold to another company, Vivendi. Then it went on, and actually out of their hands legally, eventually happened the merging with Activision. It's like they couldn't have made some of our greatest games that we recognize to be made by old Blizzard without that original injection of money that they got then. But because of it, they had also been set onto the path of what we've seen all too often in gaming, where the stockholders and the money chase has become more important than creating finished, wholesome products. All too often. And what I think has a great kernel of great original intent in remastering these games and making them available again to a modern gaming audience, at some point, at many points, went horribly wrong. Reforged release was a catastrophe. And there were, I guarantee you, 100%, I've met some of them, or many of them, there were great people working on the game that probably suffered as much as all of you and myself, all of us who were preparing for a reinvigorated game with great graphics and audio and accessibility and competition. I truly believe that many of those devs suffered even worse than us because the backlash that they got deserved in being aimed at an entity like Blizzard also affected them. They would have had crunch. They would have had changing visions. They would have known with the despair that they would not be able to deliver that which was being promised. They would have been strung along sometimes by marketing or leadership. And they would have probably burned out at some point as well, while still being forced to work on it. It's possible to be passionate about something and to be burned out on it at the same time. The weird thing is, we haven't heard nearly enough explanation or apologies about what happened. At the end of the day, we provide a commitment of $30. And we're able to have a blanket refund policy right now. You can still refund Reforged at this time. The only commitment we made is $30 and we can refund. So technically, the only thing that we can do is to refund and walk away and never come back. But this is the technical commitment we made. From our side, $30. From their side, remaster this game the way you promised it. They didn't deliver, so we're within our right to refund and walk away. We're not within the right to death threaten developers. We are within the right to review bomb. At the end of the day, we have a greater commitment than just the $30. It is called loving the game, and especially its great past and still great potential. We're disappointed because we are emotionally involved. We have built our lives around it, especially I. Some of you have great comfort and excitement and adrenaline from watching Warcraft 3 ladder streams or tournaments, and you've been disappointed in that. So you were emotionally committed more than just what $30 would do. You would have paid $300 to have a great and thriving scene, an esports scene, with newly improved graphics that were universally loved. And we still love Warcraft now and what we do now. I'm going to be streaming Warcraft 3 streams very soon again. And I have been streaming it for years, obviously, on twitch.tv/followgrubby, right here. But much of that is thanks to the people around it, the fans, the players, the various tournament orgs, and of course, people like W3Booster.com's developer, W3 Champions, Warcraft3.info, one of the last remaining bastions of replays. So while there's new bugs, while there were many bugs on release, some of which have been fixed, some of which haven't been, while Blizzard has been missing in action, missing in communication, the game yet still perseveres. Our love for it perseveres. And on this 1 year anniversary of Reforged, we have looked at things that weren't delivered, that may never be. We can take a small look at what may still come. There have been recent news developments and news leaks that I still want to talk to you guys about. But we can also celebrate what we have built around this game, which honestly, very lucky for Blizzard. Free PR through streams. People that stick with them despite all the shit they pulled. Very lucky for Blizzard to have such a passionate player base that we are, the community. And it's not only thanks to them, sometimes despite of them, but it's thanks to all of us. So let's cheers to that. Let's play some games today, talk some more, go through some news, make some predictions. Let's whine a bit, let's rage a bit, but let's also celebrate what we have. Cheers. I wanted to show you guys the following. What happens when you open Google and you search IKEA, is Istanbul, is W, is water wet, is Wish reliable, is walking healthy, is WhatsApp social media, is wine vegan, is Wales a country, is watermelon a vegetable, is war zone crossplay, is Warzone free, is warm milk healthy, is a warm shower healthy, is warm water drinking good, is waren a verb? Yes, it is. Is work? Is Warcraft 3 Reforged fixed? Is Warcraft 3 Reforged worth it? Is Warcraft free? Is Warcraft available on Netflix? Is Warcraft 3 fun? Is Warcraft 3 Reforged dead? So, to answer the first question, is Warcraft 3 Reforged fixed? Partially. Graphics and audio was in a terrible spot upon release. Some of it has been improved. Many casuals will enjoy the Reforged graphics toggle, which is a toggle, but most seasoned Warcraft players and people with distinction for one-on-one play, RTS players, will not find the graphics Reforged worth it. However, you can still toggle back to classic graphics. And outside of a few small, not very important bugs, Warcraft 3 classic graphics and audio and gameplay is all like it used to be during the peak of Warcraft 3 interest in the years after its release. So Warcraft Reforged client works well enough now without the bugs and the crashes that we had upon release 1 year ago, now on this 1 year anniversary. And because of user-made add-ons like Warcraft 3 Champions on W3Champions.com. Thanks to W3 Champions, we now have the ladder that we've been waiting for, which Blizzard hasn't released yet. We have many different servers via the Flow servers. All you gotta do is to join, install the launcher, and have it open while you have the Warcraft open. And then you'll be able to enjoy good ladder, good 4-on-4 ladder, FFA ladder, 1-on-1, and so on, at better ping than what Blizzard provides. And I really recommend everyone to check this out. Then you've got W3Booster.com, which allows you to have on-screen information that allows you to just parse info that you would imagine might have been possible if Blizzard had done that. So if you look at the screenshot here from my stream, you can see like, hey, I'm playing against Zed, he's rank 13, his win rate is 61.7%, there is my win rate, here are the control groups, that's the map we're playing on, here's the game clock. So thanks to W3 Booster, you get that interesting level of information. So also a big recommend. You can turn on having that visible overlaid over your in-game client so that you as a player yourself can see it. Or as a streamer, you're going to want to have this to improve the viewer experience for the viewers that are watching your stream. Is Warcraft Reforged fixed? The campaign no longer crashes when you start it, which is great. It's still not storing your campaign progress online like a modern game would. So if you change the computer, you have to start over, or you have to transfer over your files. Is Warcraft Reforged worth it? Reforged costs $30 to $40 depending on if you want skins in other Blizzard games. For $30, you're re-getting the game that you once paid, $60 for. Is Warcraft 3 worth it? $30. It depends what you want out of the game. If you're looking for serious one-on-one competition and you don't any longer have your Reign of Chaos or Frozen Throne CD key, via the apps that I just showed you and the existing versus Battle.net function and via playing via W3 Champions, $30 gets you one of the most deep and competitive one-on-one RTS games that even now, despite some cool games coming out in the last 10 to 20 years, is still standing sentinel as one of the best games there is. As an Age of Empires player, StarCraft 1 or 2, you can find Warcraft 3 Reforged for $30, very worth it. There are guides out there that can help you to actually onboard yourself into the game. I recommend going to my Twitch channel and typing !new player. That gets you the link that I'm showing right now. In here, I've listed over 30 different build orders. Simple, small images that you can have next to you or you can print out, where you can start to onboard yourself into learning how Warcraft build orders work. Try one of these builds. They will teach you the first minutes of the game, and then you can start to try and diversify. I've written a few extra notes because sometimes there have been changes. I'm not completely done writing all the notes yet, so a lot of them have lorem ipsum stuff. But the main thing is the pictures. There's all kinds of different cool builds. You want to try Keeper, you want to try Dreadlord. So check that out. And at the very bottom, there's 4 guides. The only, as far as I know it, comprehensive video guides that have been made to elucidate certain one-on-one concepts, like the value of creeping, how to build creep routes, how to have map control, interesting facts about experience and how it's gained, and so on. And then also the, what is this, Knights and Peasantry? I don't know what that is. But yeah, different, when to expand and how to expand, and how you should fight or defend when you expand. So the new player command in my Twitch chat, !new player, can help you to bring yourself into the game. So back to the original question, is it worth it? As a one-on-one player, yes. As a 4-on-4 player, yes. FFA, custom games, I would say $30 is worth it. You'll get dozens of hours of playing fun playing tower defense or whatever. And that's typically what you'll see Soda Popping play. He played 60 hours of Warcraft in the last 365 days. Gets like 30k viewers. And he'll play custom games. And, for $30, that's not much. To replay the campaign, if you no longer have the original CD keys, again, $30, you can play either in classic graphics or in Reforged. It might be worth it. Overall, I would say, in this way, like as a release in 2020, it's not really worth it. $30 is quite a bit of pocket money that is going to have a different intrinsic value to some people than to others. I don't think it has the level of polish that it deserves to have. You need to actually love Warcraft for it. And I wouldn't, at this moment, recommend Reforged because I would be embarrassed, knowing what I know now, about some of the shortcomings that it has. But overall, it really depends what you want out of it. Even now, you can still refund the game, yes. There's a blanket refund policy. I have to find the link, one sec. If you follow this link, you can still refund Warcraft Reforged now. I should also say that if you have a Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos, or Frozen Throne CD key, you can play everything that you normally see me play on stream, including all these third-party add-ons, the ladder, custom games, the campaign. You can do all that. The only thing you don't gain access to is the skins of the classic, of the Reforged toggle, namely Cenarius, Arthas, Jaina, and Thrall, and the female Death Knight and the female Demon Hunter. You lose out on that, and you lose out on the Reforged graphics toggle and audio. You lose out on those. So if you still have those keys, add them to your Blizzard account, and you can start Warcraft via the launcher. Oh, you can also have female versions in Classic. That's true, but they look hideous. And I'm not a woman hater, I'm a woman appreciator. So that answers the first two most commonly asked questions. And then, is Warcraft Reforged dead? No, it is not dead. It's not Fortnite on TikTok, but there is a passionate viewer and player base around Warcraft that enjoys all different aspects. And you'll see that if you ever watch my stream, when I start searching a game, the queue time is not going to be long. Now, let's talk about a few more things that Reforged brought us. 16:9 widescreen. We didn't have that before. It's easy to forget those things. Can I play in true 16:9 with the original version? Yes. Oh! Via W3 Champions, you can actually zoom out if you're playing on the W3 Champions ladder. So a lot of people that feel like the closed-in view is very claustrophobic, on W3 Champions you can zoom out. No, it's not stretched 4:3. 16:9 works. You can even play on 21:9. Yeah, we've had 16:9 since 129 patch. However, it was only made because they were working on Reforged Valkyra. So even though we technically got it before Reforged released, we wouldn't have got it if they were never going to remaster the game. Will I have to give them my credit card's number? What? Zooming in and out is kind of cheating. Yes, zooming out on Battle.net is cheating, but because in W3 Champions it's offered freely to everyone, it no longer is. It's using an adapted rule set that permits this. Since Blizzard basically hasn't offered us enough support and hasn't listened to us and communicated with us enough, W3 Champions has started to take over shepherding the scene and protecting the interests of the scene. Therefore, an opinion by W3 Champions, which is actually democratically reached together with the community, is as valid as official ladder, official zoom out. Whereas 3 years ago in the past, if you were to zoom out, you'd be a cheater because it wasn't publicly available. Now it is accepted by almost everyone and it is offered through W3C, very easily accessible. Therefore, it's no longer cheating. Therefore, now it's the new standard. Not official, but by Blizzard's official reckoning, we don't have a ladder. Now, let's go look at some Blizzard developer updates. Less than a month after the release of Warcraft Reforged, we got this developer update. Hail War 3 players, February 2020. Oh, not the comments. That's gonna burn into my retina. Hail Warcraft 3 players. We've been following the discussions the past couple of days, and we want to thank you for your feedback as well as your support. First off, we want to say we're sorry for those of you that didn't have the experience you wanted. And we'd like to share our plans for what's coming next. There were a few hours during launch day where we experienced server load issues that impacted players' ability to jump right in. Take a small sip of your drink every time you're pissed off by the tone of this post. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Separate from that, we've seen community feedback about different aspects of Reforged that we wanted to take some time to address. Before we go on, the team is excited that Warcraft 3 Reforged is finally upon us, and we're fully committed to supporting the game for a long time to come. The next few patches and updates. You just polished off a 6-pack of beer already? The next few patches and updates we'll discuss below are just part of our ongoing plans. This game is an integral part of the Blizzard DNA, with a team that loves Warcraft 3, and we're looking forward to pouring our hearts into Reforged and the Warcraft 3 community for the long term. One of the concerns with Reforged that we've seen are the visuals when selecting Classic mode. We've identified the bug causing the colors and shading to look different. Oh yeah! Fuck that! We've identified the bug causing the colors and shading to look different from the original Warcraft 3. We fought that battle for you. If you just came back into the scene, we all fought that battle already. That's why it looks good again. And we're testing a fix that will be incorporated in a larger patch addressing this issue and others. We expect to release that later this week. The patch will also address many other known issues, such as fixing some portrait animations and audio bugs, implementing some UI fixes, and more. Please keep an eye out for the patch notes for a detailed list of all the bug fixes. Another area of concern we're seeing is regarding online features, such as leaderboards, gone, clans, gone, which applies to all Warcraft 3 players, including those who haven't purchased Reforged. By the way, hold on a second here. Anyone miss their original Blizzard Battle.net Warcraft accounts? With thousands of games and icons and stats and a profile that you could write into? Remember when Reforged released, you had that link account button at the bottom? Do we still have that? Yeah, it's still there. Link account, Pepe Laugh. And then you do it, and you press verify, and that kind of ends that story. But even now, 365 days later, we have no feedback. Not one post referencing what happened to those. And if you remember, old Battle.net, Diablo 1, StarCraft 1, Warcraft 3, your account would time out if you don't log in for 3 months. The account will be deleted and gone forever. And if that happened, someone else would remake the 4K Grubby account and pretend they're me, without the stats, of course. Many people have been keeping their accounts alive, even if not playing a lot, by logging in once every 3 months for more than a decade. Keeping the accounts that they had since 2003. For more than a decade! Just logging in and keeping the accounts they have.
Greetings, friend.
When Reforged released, they shut down classic games of Warcraft, TFT, and ROC. So you can't log in anymore every 3 months. And it's gone. So you could log in here, and they said, we're going to safeguard your stats, your account, and we're going to add it later on, after release, to be fed into your Reforged account. You're going to have the old icons, you're going to have your old stats be fed on into the UI, the new UI, the new stats, and so on. Frack if it ever happened. Frack if they ever remembered. Don't know if it's gonna happen. It might just be gone. So the link account scam is truly interesting. At Blizzcon, we talked a lot about how the team is actively working on standing up the backend to ensure a smooth transition to this new MMR system, much like we did with StarCraft Remastered. As with Remastered, these and other features will be included in a major patch for Reforged, which will also address the issue for players of the original game. We'll share release plans as work progresses. Please be assured that the team is hard at work on standing these features up. There are some individual concerns we've seen that we're not currently planning to address, and we wanted to give a heads up. As of version 130, we saw very low usage of tournaments. Yeah, because everyone was cheating! The original automated tournaments, you would win if you had a better disconnect hack than your opponent. That's why we weren't using them. If you actually made it good, we would love it. If you could actually play the game. We have made the experience so bad, and you're not using it, so we're removing it because you don't want it. Eliminating the maintenance for underused... Oh yeah, and of the Reign of Chaos rule set. There were actually like 40 players that still played Reign of Chaos ladder, so they just deleted that. Eliminating the maintenance for underused elements has helped us streamline our overall support for the game and focus on areas impacting the most players. That said, we do anticipate that players who prefer Reign of Chaos will manage to find custom games with similar rule sets, which will just make your own custom game and reverse engineer ROC rule set into it and go play custom games with like-minded mad nutters that think that that's still fun to play on. We're not going to officially support it. Just join a custom game that plays it. And if you don't like the new audio that we put on the Archer death sound in Reforged, make a new custom map without those death sounds.
Greetings, friend.
Because we're done. Related to that, as we talked about last year at BlizzCon, we didn't want the in-game cutscenes to steer too far from the original game. We went a little deeper into the thought process behind that at the show, but the main takeaway is that the campaigns tell one of the classic stories of Warcraft history. Because they originally said they're gonna have Reforged campaign be changed to fit into the new lore that World of Warcraft offered, so that WoW players that come into Warcraft can see that it's a red line. So, whereas Sylvanas is a pretty undead wallflower...
For entire year no one used Battle.net leaderboards, so we removed it.
In the last year, literally not one person played ladder via Battle.net. So we're not going to make it. Yeah, anyway, they decided to roll back story changes. We want to preserve the true spirit of Warcraft and allow players to relive these unforgettable moments as they were, albeit rebuilt with new animations and the higher fidelity art. We know this update doesn't address all questions, but we're committed to the development and support of this game. We'll hope you keep an eye out for this week's patch and future updates and let us know what you think as we continue fine-tuning things. Until then, thank you as always for your support and passion. Yeah, and I remember when I read this post, I was like, wait, where's the heartfelt apology? This is from May 19th. Hill, it's been too long since we've shared an update on our team's progress. After a challenging launch, we've been regrouping, listening to your feedback. Did Blizzard contact you or W3 since then? W3C? I haven't had quality communication or communication with Blizzard in quite a while. And as we go into the recent leak, maybe you'll understand why as well. There is a moderator on this Twitch channel, Dark Duna, a Frenchy guy. He made a command, ! Pete status. And Pete Stillwell, the person who you saw made the, he was the lead developer for, the lead producer for Warcraft and classic games team at Blizzard. He would log into the forums to write posts from when they announced the pre-ordering 2018 to when they released the game in January 28th.
he would log in, write forum post. Now it was written by Kaivax, right? This is written by Kaivax, who is a new community manager. First, they fired everyone that worked in community. Then they rehired, presumably, more junior community managers, as they realized not having anyone that talks to the fans is a bit weird. So Kaivax is, I think, relatively new. He started writing it from February 2020 onwards. And you can actually go to people's profile, view activity, Kaivax, and you can see, okay, he joined 20 September 19. So briefly, let's say 4 months before Reforged released. He last made a post on the 14th of December, which is 1.5 months ago. And so you can actually see, hey, he hasn't logged in for 1.5 months. So he hasn't written any posts in that time. And we had this activity for Pete Stillwell, who I've met Pete Stillwell. I honestly believe he had his heart in the right place and he was a good guy to remake the game. But some things horribly went wrong. Like, if Pete Stillwell is not a good guy that deliberately scammed all of us with a fake release, I would seriously judge my ability to recognize people's ethics and goodness and passion. I honestly believe he is a good guy, but I think he's throttled by the powers that be. He was probably burned out, overworked, jerked around by upper management. Be that as it may, we didn't see Pete online in within the month after Warcraft released. Before that, he would log in the day before or the day of a new update, and then he would write an update, and we know there's an update coming. Oh, it's not a command anymore, I removed it, because it showed that he was never online. So, Pete didn't officially resign from the project, from the team, or from Blizzard. There was no news that Pete Stillwell quit the Reforged team, the Classic team, Warcraft team, that he quit Blizzard. But for all intents and purposes, from what we know now via various leaks or sources, it doesn't look like he's working for them anymore. And many other developers that worked on Classic or Warcraft or whatever, we just stopped hearing from them. So make of that what you will. I cannot give you any guarantees, but that command was a thing. So back to this. We'd like to start communicating more frequently and meaningfully about our plans. Of course, every time they made a post, people got really angry, right? I think this one already doesn't allow comments anymore. But if you look at the first one, they still allow comments. See, this is their February update. And then if you look at the comments, I can feel as person writing this hates each word. A lot of people won't come back. Poor optimization. Very happy I got my refund. Got my refund, I'm done. Hey, Espada! Now, I know Espada is a popular anime thing from Bleach. But there's a user in my chat called Espada. If you're the same Espada, nice fake thread, bro. Okay. There he is. Different Espada. Okay, I know there's more than 10 Espada. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, different one. Because I was like, are you really done? Oh, it means sword in Portuguese, Spanish. Yeah, because I remember from Bleach. Hueco munde. Espada. You've always had Espada with the H. Okay. So, because people weren't ravingly positive in this post, you can see that in the May post, they disabled comments. Arrancar! Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they had a lot of desyncs. If you use the Reforged graphics, it would desync with the classic graphics because it's crossplay between the two graphics toggles, and you would disconnect. Due to how disruptive these desyncs can be, a heavy emphasis is going to be on finding and resolving the most common issues. Then they say they're going to be rebalancing. Upcoming features include bug fixing efforts and balance updates. We're also working to deliver features to the game. Delivering features that we already had. Oh yeah, justice for Thorzane. Including improved matchmaking, ranked ladders, profiles, custom campaigns, and clans. Yeah, this is basically what we lost, right? While we've mentioned before that these features are in development, we've wanted to start providing more details on the direction we're taking with each. Up first, let's talk about our ongoing improvement to matchmaking. And I don't want to jump too much into this because they're basically just defining what matchmaking is, what MMR is. It's like a tutorial on it. It's a bit buzzwords, like a deflection or something. One-on-one, team games, free-for-all to be continued. Honestly, I link it to you in chat. There it is. But not much to see. Update in 22 July. Here's where they started to say ranked is still coming. This is in July. And I want to scroll through this a little bit quicker. You can pause the YouTube video or the Twitch video to read it yourself. But if we look at some of the screenshots, having this in-game would be pretty neat. Seeing people's losses and wins, and overall it looks fine. I don't think it has the utter charm of the old UI because there's a lot of space on the screen, but we still have that crappy chat box at the bottom right that is more like an afterthought, this epidemic of the Battle.net 0.2 experience. It's more of a, yeah, it's an antisocial experience. It's nothing like the warm welcome that you used to have when you log into Warcraft Battle.net and immediately you read just clear, like, opinionated statements on white people, black people, women, ableism, ageism. It's just, this chat was always full of, like, utter flames. People that hang out in general chat. So I get, like, not having that be thrown. I still famously remember when I was 16 years old, I had a work experience trip for my school where I did an apprenticeship of landscaping in Philadelphia in the USA. I joined for 2 weeks distant family that I had there who agreed to house me for 2 weeks, which I'm still really grateful for the experience. I did a landscaping gig there. They had a few children that were roughly my age or slightly younger. One of the girls, which is then my distant cousin, she was actually a bit of a game player herself. So I decided to introduce her to StarCraft 1. We rented it from GameStop or something for the console, actually, not for the PC, because they didn't have a gaming PC. So it's StarCraft on console. And we logged in, and the first thing when we log in was like utter vulgarity. I was like, that's embarrassing. But yeah, she liked the game, so that's cool. But yeah, this still feels a little antisocial, not having chat there. Yeah, there was multiplayer on the Nintendo 64. That's true. It was oddly playable, actually. We made some changes from the legacy version that we believe will lead to a better ranked play experience for players. We will be moving from the previous level system to a more distinct medal system. Those familiar with SC2 rank ladders will recognize the bronze through Grandmaster ranking system, which we're bringing to Reforged. Pepe laugh. The Grandmaster division will now be the highest rank and will only comprise the top 300... Yeah, whatever, like this never happened. You've been promoted, undead, 1v1 rank division tier 1. 2v2 victory, placement matches. Like, it looks kind of neat, but it's all fake, right? Like, it's all UI concepts that never materialized yet for now. And this is neat too. You click random, you click 1-on-1, says play your placements, here's your MMR, here's your wins, your win rate. It's like, it would have been cool. It would have been cool, but it didn't happen yet. 62% win rate, MMR 5,283. I still hate that they only show wins, not losses. Come on, man. Just come the F on. Work in progress. Ranked silver and gold badges. You can calculate it, yeah. I can't see my losses. They remind me that I'm human. And they said they're going to have an unranked mode, which honestly, this is the ladder anxiety mode. Just call it ladder anxiety mode. Actually, if it's like SC2, isn't unranked mixed matchmaking with ranked? That's a good idea. But not if it's a new matchmaking tree that increases the search times for everyone. Then it's okay. This would have been pretty neat too. This is similar to the original profiles we had in Classic that show your wins and losses and your win rate in various stats. You're allowed to write into your clan name again, some extra information, and you've got a match history. This would have been super cool. Of course, now we have all that on W3Champions.com. You go to W3Champions.com. You log in. You can even choose what kind of background you want. Human, Orc, Night Elf, or Undead oriented. Orc, of course, is the best. You go to rankings. I'm probably not in top 30 anymore. Oh, I still am. So you go to your profile. Like, it's too bad that it's out of the client, but it's still better to have it than not to have it. This is everything we would want, right? Your MMR, your rank points, your wins and losses, your recent performance, the total amount of games you played. You can write an about, you can write a homepage. You see your stats by race, 12-8 on Elf, 11-6 on Random, this on Orc. Game mode information. It's truly incredible what the W3 Champions team has built around the game. You even have badges for every season you played in. There's a match history that shows, okay, FFA games. You've got your 1-on-1, you've got your 2-on-2 games, what map, the game length. You click on it, you see the hero levels, how many units you killed. Like, this is everything it should have been. Hide the losses. Yeah. Loss, win, loss. Yeah, in the new system, in Blizzard's system, this would be win-win. And then it shows who you play 2-on-2 with. Dan Sanilo, Zed, Armin VB, Knopf. You go to statistics, you see your win rates per race. Now pay that no heed, little hobbit. This should say versus Hitman, not versus Orc. This is things that we did have on the old Battle.net Classic website. You remember that? The old Battle.net Classic website also had detailed map and race stats. It was never in the client, but Reforged had the potential to be better. It was supposed to bring balance to the force. And we've got a clan! It's not as good as how clans used to be in the game, but still, yeah, you've got a clan that is represented here on the ladder page. I made a clan G Club. Honestly, we don't have a lot of meetings. We don't really get together, plan our next move. You were supposed to fight the Sith, not join them. When Sightfoya said, when I started playing Warcraft 3 in 2003, I never stopped to ask myself, why is it possible to see the inventory of other heroes? Why does nobody consider this as built-in cheat? Image the pressure and fear if you don't know about the next move in crit situations. So that's interesting. When the game released, you couldn't see your opponent's inventory in Reign of Chaos. And what happened was that you couldn't play around an opponent's inventory. There was also no cooldown on healing potions in Reign of Chaos. So you could have a Demon Hunter with Evasion, with Metamorphosis, that was literally stacked with 6 healing potions. Here you are, a player. What is good gameplay? Good gameplay is play and counterplay. Without counterplay, everything is play. Without counterplay, triple aces wins over triple kings every time. If you have pocket aces, you have the highest possible chance to win. End of story. Once you see the drop in poker, you see there's an ace and there's no like straight draw, you know you've won pretty much, right? If I see, if I have a play that is good, I want to be able to know if I should make that play. If I see the opponent's Demon Hunter, I can make a decision. I'm going to focus fire him and I'm going to block him from using Staff of Preservation by locking him down, and he can choose the town portal. We make a judgment whether we're going to win the fight. If he has 6 healing potions and I focus the Demon Hunter, I will be making a bad play without knowing it. Why is that a bad thing? Because there's no counterplay. If I make Torrents and the opponent makes Chimera, I can send a scout to find out if he has a Chimera roost. Better skill on the Night Elf side would hide the roosts or kill the scout. Better skill on my side would to find the roosts or to force the scout. I can then respond and make units to kill the Chimera or to prevent my Torrent from dying. That's play and counterplay, that's skill. There's no skill in hidden inventory of 6 healing potions. It's unscoutable. Now, if there was a spell or an ability that you could use to see the opponent's inventory for a short period of time, you would again have play and counterplay. So Blizzard, very correctly so, revealed each other's inventory. And I remember thinking it was so stupid. Why should you be able to see into the opponent's pockets? The same question you in the chat are asking. But I have come to find out it was a good thing. Let's go to the next developer update. August 19th. Greetings, Warcraft Reforged players. In our last developer update, we shared details regarding our upcoming ranked play overall, which includes a new MMR-based ranking and matchmaking system, an in-game leaderboard, and ranked seasons. We also mentioned that we would continue providing the community a look into the Warcraft team's development plan. For this month's update, we want to dive into our next high priority feature, player profiles. It almost sounds like a new feature. As with the rank play system, we want the player profile system to capture the feel of Legacy Warcraft 3 while providing updates that enhance the experience. Before we go on, I just want to mention that while I do believe it's important and cathartic, therapeutic, to go through some of the things that they promised and that didn't happen, that may still happen, but we shouldn't hold our breath for to happen, while some of you may feel sad or angry, including me, about some of the things that have happened, that could have happened, that should have. This is the truth. Realism means accepting what happened and making a decision based on that. But at the same time, we can be grateful for streamers, for W3 Champions, for W3 Booster, and for tournaments, and what we still have. We can at the same time be disappointed in Blizzard while still enjoying and appreciating what we do have. Because sometimes you think like, oh, well, if this all sucks, then I'll just go enjoy something else. But the reason why many of us are enjoying Warcraft and Warcraft Esports and Ladder is because we found it is one of the most fun things to enjoy. You can go to another game and try to enjoy its competition. Many have done, many may still do. But then you find that there's things about Warcraft that you just find so appealing, so interesting, that just keeps you coming back. Same as why I'm playing 18 years, 19 years now, Warcraft 3. Why am I still playing? It's because I still find it satisfying to enhance my craft, to get better. I've even started playing some competitions again. The game, still good. And I'm still going to be streaming the game. I am on a small break right now for creativity and relaxation, but I want to be ready again for Season 6 to try and do my best. There may actually be good things coming from Blizzard. We'll go into that in a bit as we investigate the most recent info leak. But first, let's look at this update. Here's another profile. Basically, they're saying like profiles are still coming. You can enter your personal details with a maximum limit of 255. Match history. Along with the personal details, you'll be able to view match history. But the funny thing is, this update, months on from the previous one, is basically reiterating the same thing. Profiles and ranked is still coming. I don't know if you brought it up, but how do you feel about the balance changes since a few years ago? I'm really enjoying a lot of the changes, and it feels a lot more exciting. One thing Blizzard got pretty right, minus some stuff like the Mountain Giants. Yeah, that's a really good question, and I'm ready to talk about that. The pre-reforged balance and the strategies that were used is as follows. I'm going to mention all the matchups. Okay? Let's talk about balance. Make this a little bigger. So the previous balance, Orc versus Nelf, was Orc makes Grunt, Raider, Walker, Bat Riders. Elf makes Druids of the Talon, 1 Archer to start, DH, Beastmaster, Tinker. And this is Blade TC. And then Fairy Dragons. And that's it. No other units were used. No Headhunters, no Catapults, no Torrents, no Shamans, no Doctors. No, not any of that. No third hero. An elf would not make Chimera, Bears, Dryads, Huntresses, Glaive Throwers, Mountain Giants, or Hippos, Hippo Riders. They would not make any of those. This is all that was made. Balance in 2006 to 2017. And this is true. Occasionally, people would go for Bears. For example, in WCG 2008, right? Not this one, this one. In WCG 2008. Moon played Bears. So I played Walkers. So obviously there's beautiful moments in Warcraft history, and those moments will again come too when LANs are possible again. I don't actually remember why I clicked that. What about another post from the developer? Yeah. Was there a post after August 19th? If yes, could chat link it? I'm gonna go get another beer. Hey, what up? Did you guys have another link? You can also make Vexpo harder to creep. Yeah, but that wouldn't help against Tree of Life expansion, would it? Because Tree of Life actually tanks all the creeps for free. That would make Elf expansion the best. Allow maximum of 3 peasant power building. That's interesting. Oh, the last thing we had was patch notes in October 2020. Okay. Have you ever thought that the game might be improved by removing random item drops altogether? Creeps could drop a fixed amount of gold instead. And the items, that would be a cool mod actually, where creeps would fake. And the items could be available from neutral shops instead. It seems like it would reduce the amount of RNG. I'm just thinking, remove a bit of RNG, remove it all. If you're against the philosophy of RNG, remove it all. And then where would the game be? Would we have all been here enjoying the game as much? Will we continue to enjoy the game as much when everything is certain? I suspect not. I think I would have stopped playing as well. Because it's just, I enjoy something about going into a situation and not knowing how it's going to work out. Suspecting I know how it's going to work out, but not knowing for sure. And once I find out how certain randoms roll, I have to think on my feet and choose between the 10 different options that I should have been preparing for, and then choose and then do it. And I think that's more interesting than not doing that, than knowing how something is going to end up. It makes it feel more alive and vibrant. Even if sometimes you could just eat your shoes. Like, so unlucky. SC2 doesn't have random, does it? And you still don't know the outcome for sure. Well, for some things you do. I know that when I go in with my Zealot, I will double shot that circling every time. I'll move my 2 Zealots forward, I'll kill the Zergling, if I have upgrade versus armor advantage, and I'll kill it. Whereas in Warcraft it's like, I think another hit will kill that Lich, but I'm not sure. My chances to kill the Lich are 30%. My chances to win the game if I kill the Lich are 100%. My chances to lose the game if I don't kill the Lich is 20%. So should I go in, yes or no? And then you can think, whether that's a good decision or not. What's the expected value of going in for a final hit? And I think that's interesting. How much does micro matter in big StarCraft fights? I don't know the game, but it seems 99% of the time you know who's going to win big fights beforehand, or am I wrong? Kevin, it matters a lot, but macro matters as much or more, usually. Because of that, everyone underperforms in micro compared to what you could do. You see a lot of Zerglings swarming into tanks, even though technically it would be best to lead with 2 Zerglings, draw the 2 tank shots, then the rest of the Zerglings. But the game is just so fast, and there's so many other things to do, that you will never even try to approach optimum micro, where you walk Zergling by Zergling into tanks, and then the rest, and a full 360 flank. It's just not doable. Warcraft 3 strips away a lot of the macro, therefore allowing you to actually focus on the fight. Therefore allowing a viewer to see the speciality of the players in micro in the fights. Because the game is slower, because there are fewer other things to do that are stripped away, Warcraft 3 is known as a micro game. But actually, StarCraft 2 is even more of a micro game, because there are more units. It's just because it is also a macro game, therefore it's not a micro game. Grubby, why aren't you an SC2 caster? Actually, that's where I began. I was the first player caster ever in SC2. And after I trialed as an SC2 caster, the community loved it so much to hear a pro player talking about the game. More and more pro players started to be invited to cast SC2. And eventually, I actually started taking many jobs from ESL and Blizzard and DreamHack to go purely for casting, not just after you've been eliminated, want to do some pro bono casting. I started to get hired. MLG, DreamHack, yeah. I thought it was Rotterdam. Well, Rotterdam was not a pro player in SC2. I'm talking about a pro player who starts casting. Rotterdam is very good, but he wasn't like playing all the tournaments and stuff. Hey man, I never had anyone who shared my enthusiasm for games as a kid. In fact, I was bullied for it severely. Thank you for being the cool older brother I always wanted. I'm really happy to hear that. I did have brothers to share games with. I have 3 older brothers, 2 of them played games. And they were a big part of my feeling of community. And yeah, I would have wished the same for you. You deserve the same thing, not bullying. That's why we do this. That's why I do this. I love sharing the love for games. Oh yeah, I wanted to just briefly summarize, without it becoming boring, how the community survived. This is everything that happened, right, after Reforged released. Booster, allowing us to have better streams and better for streamers and stream viewers. Warcraft Info, which is a great replay website. You can see all the replays.
Thank you.
You have the Lady Risa replay converter.
Hi Grubby. Long time caller, first Tim listener. Making a game to drink when you are disappointed was good. I like to do things sometimes. Okay, have to get back to work now. Happy birthday. Love you, Mom.
Mom. Okay, man. Thanks, Smokey. Good luck. Good luck with that.
Greetings, friend.
I only sub to God believers. Thanks for believing in the Almighty Father, Mr. God. I hope you beat him and become gods again, like in the old times. Thanks, Panic. Wow. Lady Risa replay converter. You can use it to view older version replays. There's the W3 Champions, through which we have all this competition and the season tournaments. There's the streams, of course, that allow people to fulfill themselves with contentment when it comes to Warcraft content on a daily basis, which is great. These still persist. There's not a lot of streams out there, but there's a handful of passionate and high level and good streamers. Tournaments. All these tournaments that are happening and will continue probably to happen in 2021. Tournament casts. Very regular tournament casts. They did 1,600 hours of Warcraft tournament streaming in the last year. By comparison, I streamed 2,600 years. 2,600 hours total in 2020. Over different games, and about 1,600 of that was also Warcraft. So the booster, obviously, is the program that shows you the on-screen info. Yeah, that's some of the things that the community still perseveres with. I think the final thing to go through is the recent leak, let's say. Blizzard absorbs Activision Studio after dismantling classic games team. Video game This is a news by Jason Schreier from January 22nd. This is the big one, ladies and gentlemen. Video game publisher Activision Blizzard Incorporated took another step in consolidating control over Division Blizzard Entertainment, which once took pride in its autonomy by shifting a 200-person design studio to its ranks. The studio, Vicarious Visions, had been a subsidiary of Activision since 2005 and worked on franchises like Skylanders, Crash Bandicoot, and Tony Hawk. It will now focus entirely on Blizzard's franchises, including Diablo, instead of making its own games. Former Vicarious Visions studio head Jennifer O'Neill will take a seat on Blizzard's leadership team, reporting directly to the president. Not Biden or Trump, but J. Allen Brack, right? Wait. No. Bobby Kotick. The news, reported by Games Industry, arrived just a few weeks after Blizzard quietly dismantled one of its internal development teams, according to people familiar with the company. Blizzard, the maker of games like World of Warcraft and Overwatch, has traditionally developed most of its games in-house. But in recent years, the Activision publishing arm has taken a stronger hand in Blizzard's operations. We've noticed that, haven't we? Vicarious Visions, based in Albany, New York, has been working with Blizzard since last year on the Diablo franchise, including a planned remake of Diablo 2. People familiar with the plan said. They asked not to be identified discussing private information. A Blizzard spokesperson declined to comment on Vicarious Visions' current projects, only confirming that the studio has been working with Blizzard for some time. The funny thing is, when Hager released in Heroes of the Storm, people mentioned he plays like a character out of Crash Bandicoot. Now, the only thing I know about Crash Bandicoot is that they heavily advertised for a week or two on Twitch. And when I watch Twitch on my iOS app, I keep getting the ads. My information is telling me our enemies are already moving against us. We will prevail. I don't know if Hager is a Crash Bandicoot character or not, but that would almost certainly, that might insinuate that Hager's release, which is just a month or two ago in Heroes of the Storm, might have already been created by Vicarious Visions. Okay, Prime Mover 42 in my chat, who's a long-term sub, says the designer for Hager has never played Crash Bandicoot. So there you go. Okay, maybe it's not by Vicarious. It's just a straight thought. Moving on. Until last year, the Diablo 2 remake was set to be developed by Blizzard's Team 1, part of the company's Irvine, California campus that had become known for reworking classic games. Its most recent release in January 2020 was a remake called Warcraft 3 Reforged. You guys heard about it? You heard about Warcraft 3 Reforged? The title was poorly received due to glitches. And missing features, earning 59 out of 100 points on the review aggregator Metacritic, the lowest score a Blizzard game has ever gotten. Members of Team 1 met to discuss what had gone wrong. Internal Blizzard documents, reviewed by Bloomberg, pinpointed the game's failures on poor planning, miscommunication, and a rushed release due to financial pressures from management, among other factors. For example, Blizzard announced the game in November 2020. Blizzard announced the game in... Where was I? In November 2018, and began taking pre-orders for 2019 without informing most of the development team beforehand, according to several people who worked on Warcraft 3 Reforged. Can you imagine that? You've been working at it in secret for half a year. I believe they started working on it in 2018. The notion maybe was conceived in 2017. I think they started working on it early 2018. We had a Blizzard Reforged Invitational, Blizzard Warcraft 3 Invitational 2018. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I was at this event. The Warcraft 3 Invitational is a Blizzard 2-day event held in conjunction with the release of patch 129. It takes place at HQ in Irvine, California. I remember thinking it was fairly interesting that after years of not looking at Warcraft, we suddenly had a Warcraft Invitational and a patch. But I figured, hey, we have already had StarCraft 1 remastered by this time, I believe. Maybe they're just doing some patches to make Warcraft more playable. I didn't know at this time that Reforged would be coming. Some people may have had theorization of it, theorizing it. By now, because Warcraft has been remastered and StarCraft has been remastered, it only makes sense that Diablo 2 could also be remastered, which there's now very reliable leaks about. Now it makes sense. Like, oh, okay, they're doing all the games. They're reselling all the games. Makes sense, you know. But after just StarCraft Remastered, it was not necessarily obvious and evident yet that that would happen. So this event was standing as an island, but probably they already knew they're going to do it at this time. But development didn't really start, I believe. So maybe they've been working on it for half a year or a year at the most. So then at 2019, they started taking pre-orders without informing the dev team, allegedly. Team 1 wanted to avoid repeating the mistakes of Warcraft 3 Reforged on its next project, the remake of Diablo 2. Shortly after the post-mortem, however, Blizzard pulled that project from the team and put the division behind Diablo 4 in charge. A group at Vicarious Visions is also working on the remake, which will be known as Diablo 2 Resurrected. It's funny because Diablo 2 just got fan-made content that I really liken to W3 Champions, which is Project Diablo. Project Diablo 2 is a mod for passionate Diablo 2 fans. We aim to maintain Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction experience and provide consistent ladder resets while improving on the game as if development never ceased. Project Diablo 2 Season 1 Awakening began November 6th. And if you go to like Mr. Llama Diablo 2, he's my favorite Diablo 2 streamer. Very chill stream. You can see him like playing stuff. Recently you can catch him like doing streams where the amount of monsters that spawn is multiplied by 45. Factor 45. So you get to a dungeon and there's 40 times as many monsters spawning as before. That's pretty interesting. So that's the kind of things Project Diablo 2 has added. So you wonder, is Resurrected going to block that? Just as much as we and W3 Champions wonder, will Blizzard ever axe W3C? As suicidal as that may seem, metaphorically speaking, to axe W3C, one of the best things that ever happened to Warcraft. But if it happens, like, what do we do? I guess we can just walk away then, 360 degrees, and never come back. Oh, that's not a Project Diablo? That's a Diablo 2 mod called D2 Mod Maker. Okay, it seems I have conflated the Monster Count mod with Project Diablo. Two different things, apparently. But still, a lot of mod stuff happening, apparently. On October 15th, 2020, Blizzard informed members of Team 1. Hey, run away, you noobs, how's it going? Informed members of Team 1 that it was reorganizing the entire division. according to the people who worked on Warcraft Reforged. In the following weeks, members of the team were given opportunities to interview for jobs elsewhere within Blizzard. Those who did not find positions in the company were gradually cut. Others left for independent studios recently started by high-profile veterans, such as Frost Giant Incorporative and Dreamhaven Incorporative. Started by Blizzard co-founder and former chief executive officer Mike Morhaime, whose departure widely signaled the beginning of Activision's takeover. Team 1 was also responsible, ding ding ding, for the games Heroes of the Storm and StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 1. Blizzard slowed down development support of Heroes of the Storm in 2018, which is also the year they axed HTC. We did just have a patch 1 week ago in HOTS. So there are still things happening. I'm not sure what's going on. Based on this, it sounds like everyone either quit or was fired from Team 1, which is the classic team that manages HOTS, SE1, SE2, and Warcraft 3 Reforged, which feels really weird to not have any devs. At the same time, we did get that server-side patch in December for Warcraft. We did get a balance patch for HOTS a week ago. We got a new hero like 5 weeks ago in Hager. SE2 said they stopped on pay for content, which means all the allied commanders and everything never going to happen again. No more announcers, just maybe balance patch. So based on this, if this is true, then it would mean that Vicarious Visions is going to rebalance competitive games of Warcraft 3, of SE2, of HOTS. They're going to do the balance? Or do they still have 1 or 2 or 3 people doing balance that were Blizzard veterans or at least recent veterans? Not sure. So what this could mean is things are looking on the up and up. Vicarious Visions, I'm not familiar with them. Maybe this is a good thing. 200 people is a lot of people, way more than Team 1 had. Maybe they're going to do good things to Reforged, to Heroes of the Storm, to StarCraft 2, a lot of the games. Basically, the 3 most influential games of my life, these 3. Maybe they're going to do good things to it. Maybe nothing will change, and we're going to continue to have almost no updates. Or maybe it'll get worse, because of the soulless Activision, Vicarious Visions. They don't know our games. They don't know what we care about. They're not going to communicate. They're going to make things worse. They're going to break things that were working, user-made things or otherwise. I'm not sure. But all I can say is, so long as I enjoy the games, and you guys enjoy me playing them, I will be playing and streaming. Maybe there will be good things happening. Can't be much worse than Reforged release. We know Blizzard changed. They're not what they were in 2005. But still enjoy the games that they have made in the past that actually did get better balance and a lot of utility despite everything in Reforged. I still enjoy HOTS and Warcraft. But I'm also thinking about if these ever get forcibly killed, what will I do in the future? And maybe I'll be playing 4X games, like Age of Wonders Planetfall, that I have been playing the last few days. Maybe that will not work. No one wants to watch. I will be forgotten. And I have to start a new page in my life. I will do that too. I will attack it with gusto. When I see that all roads have closed and people are just not interested in old man playing old strategy games, I will become a hand model for old people or a gardener streamer. But maybe it will work, and maybe I'll make a living out of streaming games like Heroes of Might and Magic and Age of Wonders Planetfall and Total War. We will see. But until then, I will still be streaming and playing Warcraft 3. Still be streaming Heroes of the Storm. I can always try out Path of Exile, Magic the Gathering. Age of Empires was a little hard to get into. OnlyFans if I get desperate. Yeah. No shame in feeding your family with an OnlyFans. Or I can go try out all the different RTS games that have come out in the last 10 years and the next 10 years. There are options. I don't want to turn my back on Warcraft. It may be forced one day. But until then, we have what we have. No things are forever, but we are enjoying this game. And there's cool things coming. W3 Champions is still trying to iterate and improve things. And Season 6 of W3 Champions is looking to be hot commodity. Because it's going to be global. That means whoever chooses to accept to play, be it Happy or Grubby or Moon or Hitman, is going to be playing against each other in one of the first truly online global competitions Warcraft 3 has ever seen. And eventually, Frost Giant and Dreamhaven will come out with their games. Years on, most likely. Many years on. And we'll check those out. Blizzard has promised to continue fixing and updating Warcraft Reforged, although it will likely do it via a different and outsourced team. A spokesperson wouldn't confirm who's handling the continued development of Warcraft Reforged, but said, "We're still committed to updates in support of the community." The end.